On today's Locked On Jayhawks, we preview Senior Day. Kansas looking to pull another upset and cause more chaos in the Big 12, this time against Colorado.
You are Locked On Jayhawks, your daily podcast on the Kansas Jayhawks. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
I'm Derek Johnson. Thanks for making Locked On Jayhawks your first listen every day. We're free and available wherever you get your podcasts, including on our YouTube page. You can like and subscribe to the show. And thank you to the everydayers tuning in to each and every show. Thanks for making it your first listen every day here with Locked On Jayhawks. We're going to be breaking down, can Kansas cause even more headaches to Brett Yormark and the Big 12 with another upset win over one of the Big 12 title contenders. Kansas on Senior Day. The Heisman Trophy race for Travis Hunter, Colorado Scouting Report, matchups of the game, players to watch, and plenty more on this episode of Locked On Jayhawks. Our episode today is brought to you by FanDuel Sportsbook, where you can bet on the game. New customers can place a $5 bet, and you'll get started with $150 in bonus bets if you win that first $5 bet. Just visit FanDuel.com to get started today. Kansas taking on Colorado. This is a 2:30 kickoff in Arrowhead. It represents Senior Day for KU football, and it also represents an opportunity. Kansas, just for the first time ever in program history, won back-to-back games against AP top 25 opponents by beating Iowa State and BYU. Why not add to the history? Why not make it 3 straight? And that is part of this game for KU, that they have already caused a lot of chaos in the Big 12. Imagine even more chaos that you would be causing if you can do this, because it put Iowa State in a position where they need some help to make the Big 12 title game. It put BYU in a position where, the Arizona State game that they're playing this week was already huge, but like now it's like, oh no, if we lose this, like we definitely don't have it, So Kansas can definitely throw a wrench in things for Colorado, who has been arguably the hottest team in the Big 12 at this point in time, with now BYU and Iowa State since losing over the last couple of weeks. Now for Senior Day for Kansas, that part isn't the chaos part. That's just trying to send seniors out on top. It does feel a little weird that, you don't get to celebrate Senior Day where you're kind of saying thank you to the seniors and the families get to come with the players and they get to play one last home game at that field that they've spent their, blood, sweat, and tears. It's different when the stadium is not the stadium that you've played all your other games, your first 3 or 4 years, or even 5 years for some guys. But I guess that's not that different for guys who are like 1-year grad transfers. I don't know. But it's more so about being with the program, being with the team, and having that final home game. And so this one means a lot. There's a giant senior class. So from that perspective, there's a lot of guys you're going to be saying goodbye to, and a lot of guys that mean a lot to the program, right? A lot of guys who have meant a lot for these past couple of seasons in rebuilding the program and getting them back to a bowl game and getting them to back-to-back bowl games, to getting, top 25 wins, not just the past 2 weeks, but last year over Oklahoma and over Oklahoma State the year before, right? Some of the great memories that you've had, a lot of these senior players are a big reason why. And I think the poster child for all this is probably Devin Neal. Like, there's a lot more guys. You think about like all the receivers, right? Quentin Skinner's had a great year, especially these last 3 or 4 weeks. He's been in the zone. Luke Grimm's had a great year, right? Like LJR sucked to see him get injured last week. We'll see what his status ends up being for this game. But like, you have all these great seniors, but Devin Neal is the poster child for this. And you want to see them go out on top because they deserve it. And I hope the crowd attendance for this game reflects that. The last one here, and this is more of a Colorado specific, headline into this, but I do think it is an interesting one from the Kansas perspective, is the Travis Hunter Heisman race. I think for a couple of reasons. One, it is a reason if you were 50-50 on, do I want to go out and see this Kansas football game? Like, it might be a little cold. I don't know. I can watch these in the front. It's like, I get to go see, not only do I get to see my Jayhawks play, but I get to go see the guy who might win the Heisman Trophy or be, a top 5 pick in the draft. Like, I do think that matters a little bit here. And also it presents cool matchups. I mean, Travis Hunter, the 2 positions he plays, go against 2 positions where KU feels they have really good players, or I guess I feel they have really good players too, right? Like Cobee, Bryant, Mello, Dotson are 2 all Big 12 corners. When he's a receiver, you're going up against one of those guys. If you're talking about him being at the receiver position, him being at the corner position, we just mentioned like Quentin Skinner and Luke Grimm. Like, who's he going to be going up against? Like, those are all going to be very interesting matchups in how that kind of works out. So as far as the Colorado scouting report, they come in at 8-2 on the season. They are 6-1, tied for first in the Big 12. It feels like so long ago, the first game of the season, that they almost lost to North Dakota State. And then they go week 2 to Nebraska and they just get trounced. And now, especially looking back at what has happened to Nebraska, where it's like they're a 5-win football team and they lost by 18, it's like, what's going on? But guess what? Teams are allowed to improve. Teams are allowed to get better. And Colorado, one, maybe that was just like a bad matchup for them. Two, maybe Nebraska was, I don't know, hitting a good stride. And three, like Colorado has clearly gotten a lot better. The only team who they had lost to since was Kansas State, and that was a coin flip game. So they've been hot. The running game has never been great for them, but they've run it a little bit better since that game, at least made it a little bit of a threat. Overall, offensively, Colorado's third in the Big 12 at 34.1 points per game. Honestly, this part shocked me seeing on offense. Colorado's only 11th in the Big 12 in yards per game. They're 9th in yards per play. But they butter their bread passing the ball. They're second in the Big 12 in yards per pass. And they're only 0.2 yards per pass behind TCU for first. And we saw TCU come into Arrowhead and give KU all sorts of fits with their pass defense. So that's a little bit scary. Colorado actually has more passing touchdowns than TCU. They lead the Big 12. The Buffaloes also have the highest completion percentage and best passer efficiency in the Big 12. So you can make an argument that this is the best passing offense in the conference. And again, if we look back to the TCU game, which was best passing attack KU faced until this one, that did not go so well for KU. They forced a couple turnovers. If they didn't have the turnovers, TCU might score 40, 50 points in that game. Shedeur Sanders, first-round pick at quarterback. He has really good numbers. You have to pressure him or he's going to hit their myriad of receiver weapons. Travis Hunter, Heisman candidate. LeJontay Webster's had a great year. Will Shepard and Jimmy Horn are players that would be I guess, they are starting, but would be leading receivers of a lot of other schools in the Big 12. This is probably the best and the deepest receiver core in the Big 12. I really love the duo of Iowa State guys, but this one's deeper than that. So this is just an elite passing attack. Now they are dead last in yards per rush at 2.8 yards per carry. So completely I guess Mike Leach style offense you almost think of here. It's gotten better, like I said. They had 75 total rushing yards their first 2 weeks of the season. And now they have 4 games since then. So that would mean 4 games in their last 8 where they've had over 100 yards. Right. So they're not setting the world on fire. They're not running 200 yards, 300 yards in a game, but they're doing it at least competently enough that you have to respect it a little bit more just to give their play action game, just to give, the pass rush a little bit less juice, that it's been enough. Obviously with the college games, sacks are going to kill some of your running numbers. They do pass more and they've been sacked more than any team in the Big 12. But point being, this is not a good running team, and this is an elite passing team. Defensively, Colorado is 6th in the Big 12 at 22.7 points allowed per game. And this has been the big surprise for me, how good they've been on the defensive end. Last year, they were not a good defense. They've really improved on the defensive end. They're 8th in yards allowed per game, 5th in yards allowed per play in the Big 12. And they've been pretty stout stopping the run, which is not ideal when you're playing Kansas, or for Kansas playing you, I guess. They're giving up just 3.7 yards per carry. That's 3rd in the league. And only one team in a specific game has gone more than 4.5 yards per carry against Colorado. That was Cincinnati, who was at 5.3, and Cincinnati lost that game kind of going away. Against the pass, Colorado's 7th in yards allowed per pass and pass efficiency. So maybe this is one where Jalon Daniels, can try to match Shedeur Sanders and can ball out. And this is one where you need him, quite frankly, too. But maybe KU can have more success because, as much as they have been a good run defense has Colorado, well, Kansas is a really good run offense. And sometimes, good versus good, somebody does have to come out on top. So as far as the importance of the game, it's seeing the seniors out. Having them win on senior day, again, feels a little weird not to be in Lawrence. But beyond that, at this point, with what you've done the last couple of weeks, it's an opportunity to stay alive for bowl eligibility. I looked at KU's APR grades from a story that was posted in June or July of this year, and they were in the 70s for their rankings. So I can't imagine you can bank on going 5-7 and having the best APR grade to be bowl eligible. So you got to win out. I can't imagine this one would hurt either if you can win it for recruiting. I'd imagine there's a lot I don't know, maybe not a lot, but like it's Colorado with Deion Sanders. They're going mostly in trades for portal, and they're going for like big game hunting. Like they're going for 4 stars, 5-star kids, right? I don't know how much crossover there is between those two, but like it certainly wouldn't hurt in recruiting if you could win a game like this. All right, let's get on to our matchups of the game. This is Locked on Jayhawks. Our episode today is brought to you by Skylight Frames. Do you struggle to find the perfect gift during the holidays? Has anybody ever been like, dude, you're not very good at picking out gifts. Just get what I told you to, right? You're buying for somebody else who seems to have everything and you just can't figure out what they want or what they like. You're tired of wasting money on useless clutter that no one really needs, and you end up buying the gift and you're like, why did I buy that? Well, we got the perfect gift for you. Skylight Frames is the touchscreen digital photo frame for your whole family they're going to love. You can upload thousands of photos with your phone and watch them appear in seconds. And it becomes a gift-giving experience because it can be 2 months later and you can send them a new photo of you and your family, or you and your wife, you and your girlfriend, you and your baby, you and your dog, whatever. And your mom, if that's who you got it for, is going to love it. It's going to feel like a new gift that you sent every picture you send. Gift mode makes it a very meaningful, personalized gift too. You can preload it with memories without opening the box. Surprise them with old sentimental photos as soon as it's plugged in. Satisfaction guaranteed. We're confident that you'll love Skylight. We offer free 120-day returns. Top-rated brand with over 1 million happy customers, thousands of 5-star reviews, and available in over 30 countries. Recommended by the Today Show, Forbes, New York Magazine, and more. And now is a special limited time offer for our listeners. Get $20 off your purchase of Skylight Frame when you go to skylightframe.com/college. That is skylightframe.com/college, skylightframe.com/lockdowncollege. Get $20 off your purchase now at skylightframe.com/lockdowncollege. Our episode is also brought to you by FanDuel Sportsbook. Get ready to tackle the NFL action with FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook, because right now, new customers can bet $5 and get $150 in bonus bets if you win. The FanDuel Sportsbook app gives you everything you need to place live bets on the NFL all in one place. So when you get a hunch in the middle of the game, you can check the latest stats, view live play-by-play, and so much more on the same page where you place your bets. Just visit FanDuel.com to join today. You'll get started with $150 in bonus bets if you win your first $5 bet. You can even do that on the Kansas game. Right now, Kansas getting 2.5 points, which seems like a small line, but that's what people were saying for the BYU game and the Iowa State game. And, weird things happen in the Big 12. Over-under is also 59.5. If you have a feeling about that one way or another. I kind of like the over, but do with it what you will. That's FanDuel.com. Never waste a hunch and make every moment more with FanDuel, an official sportsbook partner of the NFL and the Locked On Podcast Network. I thank you for the everydayers tuning in each and every show. Thanks for making this your first listen every day. And don't forget, you can check out Locked On College Football for your second listen every day to preview the big weekend ahead as we are getting closer to the end of the regular season. Kind of bittersweet, isn't it? Just football season. So, you know what? We don't need to go into it because we don't want to be sad. All right, matchups of the game. First down, Devin Neal and Daniel Highshaw a lot. K-State beat Colorado, and they're the only team to have done so in the Big 12. When you look at the team rushing stats, they don't look elite. It's 100 or it's under 200 yards rushing for K-State. They look solid. They look fine. The big reason why, though, they don't look even better is sacks. Avery Johnson had negative 15 yards in the game because he had some sacks that Colorado's got a good pressuring defensive line. But DJ Giddens, who's, one of the better running backs in the Big 12, but if you're giving me the choice of DJ Giddens, who again, I think is a very outstanding player, or Devin Neal, I'm taking Devin Neal. And DJ Giddens ran it 25 times for 182 yards. Colorado slowed some other good backs. They played some other ones in the Big 12, but like Taj Brooks, I think last week had like 132 yards, took him 33 carries, but that's kind of what he is. He's just kind of a workhorse running back, right? But that is the Big 12 team who beat them. That is the recipe. If you can do that, it's going to give you an increased chance, not going to guarantee it. It's going to give you an increased chance of beating them. And for Kansas, you have, you have the ingredients for the recipe, right? You have Devin Neal, you have Daniel Highshaw, you have the stud running back, you have the power running back. And so it can be super helpful for Kansas if they can do this. And it would also not hurt so bad if you can do that, because it would help keep Colorado off the field for a little bit. They're a team that can run some tempo, and we've seen Kansas struggle with that. Now, of course, the KU offensive line, they're third on Pro Football Focus and run blocking grade nationally. They're first among Power 4 teams. And then Kansas is also 16th nationally in EPA per rush. So you've been really good at running the football. They've done a good job at stopping it, but it's your strength. You got to ride with it. Ride those top backs. It's senior day. Let Devin Neal have a special senior day, or give him the best opportunity to make his own senior day special. Second down, pass rush, get ready. Colorado has been sacked their own side of the ball more than any other team in the league. They've been sacked 32 times so far this season. Now, last year was a big issue. They were getting sacked a ton as well, but it's been a little bit better this season. They're still, working on some stuff, but again, it's been a little bit better. Out of comparison, I found this stat funny. Kansas quarterbacks have only been sacked 9 times. Colorado 32. Now, that's incongruent. Colorado throws a lot more, running out of the gun. Like Kansas more balanced, they're running less play, yada, yada. But still, there's a big difference there. It's a multifaceted explanation as to why. Again, Colorado throws way more than they run. So, you're just going to have more opportunities to sack them, but also defenses might adjust or play more to that. Colorado runs a lot of plays. Colorado's offensive line isn't the best. They're actually 40th in pass blocking grade on PFF. So they've been solid, but it's not elite. And then Shedeur Sanders is an awesome quarterback, but when you look at some of the draft people, some of the flaws they talk about is that sometimes he tries to make too much happen. Sometimes he throws a little too dangerous balls. And the big one here, holds on to the ball a little bit too long. And sometimes will just kind of backpedal until they're ready to kind of chuck it up. And so sometimes you can lead to some sacks coming from that. And, for KU, it's not just about the sacks. It's about pressures, right? Because when kept clean, Sanders completes almost 80% of his passes with 22 touchdowns to 4 interceptions and an 8.6 yard per attempt average. When he's pressured, though, the percentage drops to 51%. So that's almost a 30% difference. The touchdown interception ratio, instead of being 22-4, it's now 5-3. And instead of 8.6 yards per attempt when kept clean, when he's under pressure, it's 7.4. So there's sizable differences there, as there are for most quarterbacks. But, can you do that? And can you do it without blitzing? I know I've talked a lot about these recent weeks. I've liked when KU is more aggressive and they blitz. And yes, there will be times that you need to choose when is that right time to do that in a game like this. But Shedeur Sanders has actually been really good against the blitz. He's averaging 9.2 yards per attempt when blitz. He's averaging 7.9 yards per attempt when he's not blitzed. So you have to pick and choose when you do that. The key here for Kansas is being able to get pressure with 4 guys. And again, you could say that for every team going into every game, and that'd be ideal. And it's a lot easier said than done. The good news is that Colorado's interior offensive line has been worse than the outside, and that matches up with where KU is a little bit better. But more on the pass defense a little bit better, because this isn't the only matchup related to the pass defense. But you have to be able to, because if you get to a point where it's you're just getting washed out, you're not getting any pressure with 4 guys, and you have to blitz, that's when things could get a little dicey for a KU defense. Third down, Kansas's offensive line in passing situations. So in the same way that, I don't know, this is just fascinating to me that Colorado has been sacked the most times on offense. Colorado also has the most sacks on defense. I would just love to see, if the two teams, I guess in practice, if they're going all out, how much does the D-line get to the quarterback? They have 33 sacks on defense. That is 7 more than second place. And I think what makes it tough to prepare, they have 6 different players with 3 or more sacks. They have 9 players with 2 or more. So they're getting it from a lot of different levels, from a lot of different areas. And that can make it very challenging for the defense. But I think part of it too is you think back to some of those great Colts teams with Peyton Manning. They get a lead and they built the defense that it wasn't the best defense in the world, but they had Dwight Freeney and Robert Mathis, and they would chase the quarterback, right? And once they got the lead, they were going to hold it a lot of times because they were going to get that key sack because they knew the other team had to pass late in the game. And that's almost like this Colorado team. They know they're going to be, throwing so much. The other team's going to have to try to keep up offensively. Well, that's going to allow us to get more sacks, and we're going to take advantage of that. And we built our D-line to be that way, to be more speed related, right? Now, currently the Kansas offensive line ranks 34th nationally in pass blocking grade. So again, they've been good at it, but not nearly as elite as the run blocking. The guy you have to watch out most for is BJ Green II. He's got the team best 5.5 sacks. He He has an overall 81 Pro Football Focus grade, 83 pass rush grade. You got to be able to slow him down. And, we saw Bryce Cable play a great game against BYU. Can he do it again? Can he do it again against an even better opponent in green? Fourth down, Kansas's middle of the field pass defense. BYU wanted to attack this. They even mentioned it on the broadcast that that's where they wanted to attack. And that's not the first time we've seen that. We've seen a lot of teams try to attack over the middle and be able to attack over the middle because, sometimes KU's linebackers have been too slow in pass coverage, or sometimes the safeties haven't been as good. Sometimes it's just about that, hey, I'd rather go over the middle because if I have to go to the outside, that means I'm throwing against Cobee, Bryant, or Mello Dotson all the times. And so obviously I'd rather go over the middle, right? There's a lot of different reasons you'd want to do that. Well, that's not great because Deion Sanders has completed 180 of 215 of his passes between the numbers. You might be typing that into your calculator. You don't need to. That's 83%. He's completing 83% of his passes between the numbers. And that's not just like short 5-yard passes. Like that extends out to like deep ball. He also has 13 touchdowns in the middle zone, 6 going to the left zone. So left of the numbers, 8 to the right of the numbers. So the most touchdowns he has is the middle, and he's completing 83% of his passes. Kansas has to hold up here. Like, just don't get completely depleted here. You're going to give some stuff up. Like you absolutely are. Every team does. Can you just not have it be like, oh, he's 12 for 12 over the middle for 200 yards and 2 touchdowns, right? The one thing that does give me at least a little bit of hope here, or I think can give teams chances. So he's, again, throws over the middle. Only 17% of the time those passes have been incomplete. Yet it is a higher number of interceptions than you'd think. Shedeur Sanders has 7 interceptions this year. 6 of those 7 interceptions are over the middle of the field. So it's almost like risk reward. It's mostly been reward for Colorado over the middle of the field. But if you do want an interception, more of those have happened. And all 6 have occurred over the middle of the field between 0 and 20 yards from the line of scrimmage. So keep in mind for those. Maybe it's a game where you give up a lot over the middle, but can one of the linebackers, you might get an opportunity to get a pick, take advantage of it, basically is what I'm saying, because there's not going to be a lot of opportunities to take advantage of it. So if you get that one over the middle, you better take advantage of it. Quick bonus note, hold on to the ball. Colorado, this is a wild number, has forced 11 fumbles. That's second in the Big 12. That's not the wild part. The wild part is their fumble luck. I talk about this all the time. Typically, a team recovers around 50% of their fumbles. Some years it might be 60%. Some years it might be 40. Some years there's good luck with it. Some years there's bad luck with it. Some years you might be better at it because your defense is really fast and swarms to the ball. And if you have more bodies around the ball, you might pick them more. Sure. I don't think I've ever seen a number this crazy. They've recovered 10 of the 11 fumbles that they've forced. That doesn't seem sustainable, but it's also not a number that I'm going to expect to not sustain in a specific game that's next up. So I'm just sitting here going, KU, don't fumble the ball because they're recovering all of them. Now, as far as the player matchup here, I'm going to go Travis Hunter versus Cobee Bryant / Mello Dotson. This feels pretty self-explanatory. You have a Heisman candidate at receiver. And I think for Cobee Bryant and Mello Dotson, these are both guys in Cobee and Mello that I think are going to be playing in the NFL next year. And you want an opportunity to show hey, I deserve to be a day 2 draft pick or something like 2nd round, 3rd round draft pick. Go have a good game in this one. They've had some big moments over the course of the season, right? They've had some bigger interceptions. Do it in this game, and it'll be impossible for NFL evaluators to ignore. All right, let's get to Hawks to Soar next. This is Locked on Jayhawks. This episode is brought to you by Prize Picks, the best place to get real money sports action with over 10 million members and billions of dollars in awarded winnings. Prize Picks has made daily fantasy sports accessible to all. You just pick more or less, it's that easy, on at least 2 players, up to 6, for a shot to win up to 100 times your cash. Run your game all season long on Prize Picks. Prize Picks is the best place to get real money sports action. Join over 10 million users and sign up today. Prize Picks invented the flex play, which means you can still cash out if your lineup isn't perfect. That's one of my big, loves with this, right? Because I myself and most of us as people are just not going to be perfect at predicting. If I put together, 4 mores on something, chances are one's going to be wrong. But if I put the flex play on and I hit 3 of the 4 on the mores, I'm going to be good to go. You can double your money even if one of your picks doesn't hit. Sign up today and get $50 instantly when you play $5. You don't even need to win to receive the $50 bonus. It's guaranteed. Prize Picks also offers weekly promotions that can lead to big payouts like Taco Tuesday, each Tuesday. Prize Picks discounts select player projections up to 25% to provide even more value for your lineups. Download the app today and use code LOCKEDONCollege to get $50 instantly after you play your first $5 lineup. Again, download the app today, use code LOCKEDONCollege to get $50 instantly after you play your first $5 lineup. Prize Picks, run your game. All right, continuing on with this episode of Locked On Jayhawks, Hawks to soar. Start with the offensive side of the ball. I'm going to go with Devin Neal. I think maybe logistically it makes a little bit more sense to be like, which receiver is Travis Hunter covering? Because I was actually looking at Travis Hunter's PFF grade because I was like, okay, I know it's incredible, like the offensive stats I've seen him put up, and he has some interceptions and the snap count he's doing. I was like, what actually like is his coverage grade? Because I had no idea. I went on like Pro Football Focus and it was like 88. I was like, okay, yeah, he's pretty good, right? Whoever he's not covering, right? And that's why it is important if LJ Arnold can play, because it gives you another depth of target. Now, maybe that means it's an opportunity for somebody like Doug Emelian or somebody to step up. But point being, let's say if Travis Hunter is guarding Luke Grimm, Quentin Skinner is the guy that I'm looking at. Can he step up? If it's somebody else, right? Whatever. Because you look at it and they have a good run defense and the pass defense has been good, but it hasn't been as good. But I'm going to go Devin Neal. It's senior day. Send him out. If he wants 30 carries, give him 30 carries. And I found this interesting too. So Devin Neal averages 7.2 yards per carry between the center and the right guard. So basically right up the gut to the right side of the center. That is his second best among any zone on offense. The only one that's better is 7.5, which is all the way to the outside at the right, which are some of those wide zone plays. But the reason I bring up specifically the center right guard one, he actually has his most runs of 10 plus yards in that zone, which is 5. Colorado's main interior defensive lineman to that side is actually their lowest rated starter on Pro Football Focus. He's a sub 60 grade and has a 56.8 rating in run defense. Run up the gut, halfback dive. Devin Neal, let him carry you. Defensive side of the ball, Marvin Grant. Okay, so this is a couple things. Colorado's going to pass a lot. I think it makes a lot of sense in this one to almost be like, hey, we're going to basically play a one true linebacker package. Like Cornell Wheeler and JB Brown, you're going to rotate in. Maybe JB Brown rotates in as a blitzer or as a defensive end as well to get him extra reps there. And then our second linebacker for most base plays even is going to be Marvin Grant. And then we're just going to play 5 DBs the whole game. Like, I think that would make a lot of sense. Now, I don't know that they're going to do that. But regardless, Marvin Grant, I think, is going to have a high snap count. And he played really well last week. 10 tackles, had a big game against BYU. And when we go back to the idea that Colorado has had a lot of success throwing over the middle, but they might give you a chance at one over the middle. Okay, well, Marvin Grant's going to be playing over the middle. Can Marvin Grant be that guy that maybe comes up with the big play, whether it's decleating a receiver and forcing a fumble, or it's, helping force a big incompletion, or having a blitz? We've seen him be used in pressure, right? To maybe confuse Shedeur Sanders and come up with a big sack, or getting that key interception. I'm going to go with Marvin Grant on the defensive side of the ball. All right, that'll do it for this episode of Locked On Jayhawks. You can find our show anywhere you get your podcast, including on our YouTube page. We'll be back to recap this one, but we'll also have a Locked On crossover episode to get the other side of things for more Kansas-Colorado preview. See you next time with LOJ.